Okay, so in this problem we're asked to solve this equation. It starts out here as a fractional equation, as we can see here. 2x over x minus 2 plus 7 over x equals 2. So typical way to solve these, again, this isn't the only way, but it's a typical way that these are often solved, is to get rid of the fractions. Now you could, of course, alternatively go through and add fractions, right? Get everything over a single fraction and then deal with things that way. But it's usually easier to deal with these problems if we get rid of the fractions first. So the first thing we do is we figure out what the common denominator is. All right, so we figure out what the common denominator is. In this case, we need an x to take care of the second fraction here, so we need that as a factor in our common denominator. And we need an x minus 2, okay, to take care of the other fraction. And then what we're going to do is we're going to multiply through this x minus 2 times everything up above. Now, we could write that out, but we're actually going to save a little room and just look at the LCD and look at each fraction to see what would cancel out and what would be left over. So if we multiplied by x minus 2, first fraction, the x minus 2 will cancel out. That would leave us with just an x to go with the 2x, and so we would have 2x squared. Okay, when we come to the second fraction, 7 over x, the x would cancel out, leaving us with an x minus 2 to go with the 7. And then finally, the 2 on the other side, the right-hand side, doesn't have a fraction, so there's nothing to cancel out. So it gets the whole x and x minus 2. Okay, so at this point, it's starting to look like we might have a polynomial equation because of the x squareds. Now, it's always possible that that could disappear, and in fact, in this particular problem, that is going to happen. But to find that out, since we have an equation here and both sides have some simplifying that need to be done, that's what we go ahead and we do. We go ahead and we simplify. Here we have a 7 that we can multiply through. On the right hand side here we have a 2x to multiply through. And so we do that. So we get 2x squared, and then 7 times x will be 7x. 7 times minus 2 will be a minus 14. Okay, and then on the other side, 2x times x will be a 2x squared. 2x times minus 2 will be minus 4x. And so now we've simplified by multiplying through. Quick check tells us that neither side has like terms on the individual sides that can simplify further. So at that point, we decide, hey, we want to start getting the variable onto one side. And so one of the things we quickly recognize is both sides have a 2x squared. So we can just cancel those out. And so what was, for a moment, a polynomial equation no longer is, because the squared terms have canceled out. And so at this point, then, our goal becomes, let's get the variable onto one side. So we have a 7x here, and minus 4x over here. So we go ahead and get rid of the 7x by subtracting that from both sides. And then we get down to this equation now. Negative 14 equals negative 11x. And then finally we can just divide by negative 11. And we get our solution here. X equals 14 over 11. But hold on, we're not quite done yet. Is that really the answer to the equation? Well, we have to verify that that answer is okay as far as the common denominator goes. Common denominator here would be 0 if x was 0 or 2. 14 over 11 isn't 0 or 2, so it doesn't make the common denominator 0, and so therefore it is an acceptable answer. Okay, so that's our solution there, x equals 14 over 11.